Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is in Samarkand, addressed the SCO leaders on day 2 of the summit. During his speech, the Indian Prime Minister emphasized on how the country supports mutual trust among SCO leaders. He also raised the issue of transit rights between member states. In a message to Islamabad, the Indian Prime Minister said that it took many months for India to get transit rights to send supplies to Afghanistan via Pakistan. He added that better connectivity is required for development. Prime Minister Modi also added that SCO members must extend support to traditional medicine.
महामारी और यूक्रेन के संकट से ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन्स में कई बाधाएं उत्पन्न हुई, जिसके कारण पूरा विश्व अभूतपूर्व ऊर्जा एवं खाद्य संकट का सामना कर रहा है। एससीओ को हमारे क्षेत्र में विश्वस्त, रेजिलिएंट और डाइवर्सिफाइड सप्लाई चेन्स विकसित करने के लिए प्रयत्न करने चाहिए। इसके लिए बेहतर कनेक्टिविटी की आवश्यकता तो होगी ही, साथ ही यह भी महत्वपूर्ण होगा कि हम सभी एक दूसरे को ट्रांजिट का पूरा अधिकार दें।
Prime Minister Modi asserted on how he wants to transform India into a manufacturing hub, further adding that India's economy is expected to grow at the rate of 7.5% this year. Indian Prime Minister Modi also highlighted how the supply chains were disrupted due to two major reasons. That is, first, the COVID-19 pandemic, and second, the ongoing Ukraine crisis. Prime Minister Modi will also be holding a number of crucial bilaterals on the sidelines of the summit. He will be holding talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, and Uzbek President as well. Now, this is the first in-person meeting of the SCO leaders since the COVID-19 pandemic. Leaders of the 8-nation organization have deliberated on various issues, ranging from regional security situation to trade and connectivity. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sudan Civil, and our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik from Samarkand. Hello to you both. Sudan, coming to you first. Now, earlier we heard Prime Minister Modi's address, and he has raised many important topics. Take us through some of the big talking points here.
Well, Alison, the Indian Prime Minister was part of the SCO meeting, the SCO Summit that took place, but that was restricted meeting, so there were no essentially comments which were made public. But if we talk about the Indian Prime Minister's participation at the SCO extended format meeting, the Indian Prime Minister spoke at length on various issues. Three key points I would like to highlight. First, of course, he pointed to supply chain disruption because of the Ukraine conflict and COVID pandemic. That is interesting given the fact that he is saying this at the SCO, a group which is dominated by Russia and China. Secondly, of course, he talked about transit rights when it comes to regional connectivity. Now, that is important given the fact that Pakistan, of course, has been a country that has been stopping India's westwards connectivity. India has been very keen on that. India has invested heavily on Chabar port. Recently, India wanted to send humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, but that took a lot of time. The humanitarian aid was to transit through Pakistani territory through land route. And thirdly, of course, the food crisis. He talked about millets, calling them as a superfood. Also proposing a festival, a millets festival when it comes to the SCO grouping. But largely, when it comes to Prime Minister's participation, we know the biggest takeaway was the handing over of the presidency of the grouping to India. In fact, the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the Russian President Vladimir Putin both congratulated the Indian Prime Minister India for, of course, the presidency. In fact, what is interesting to note is the Chinese president said that China will support the Indian presidency of the grouping. In fact, I'm standing in front of the Congress where the leaders are present right now and, of course, deliberating and talking about various issues that, of course, impacts the world and changes the world order in next coming few years.
Right, Sudan, thank you.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.